What's good, guys? I hope you're doing well. Welcome back to the channel. I hope life has been treating you well. In this video, like you can see in the title, I'm going to be going over things that are keeping you weak. The reason why you need to know the things that are going to keep you weak is because if you want to grow stronger, if you want to become the best version of yourself, you need to know what's going to be holding you back. Because especially in this modern world that we live in, as men, we have got so many things that are holding us back. In this video, I'm not going to be touching on the stuff that is completely outside of our control because it's not worth it. If it's outside of your control, it's none of your concern. What we need to focus on as men is things that are within our control. Because if we can control our environment and our circumstances, we enable us to be able to cultivate and grow into the version of ourselves that we need to. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is porn. Now, I had a pretty major porn addiction for over a decade, and safe to say, it was one of the reasons why I really struggled with women. If you're an individual who wants to be able to attract women, who wants to be able to be a guy who can not just get mid girls, but get girls that you actually want, then cutting out porn is probably going to be one of the biggest bang for your bucks that you can implement. The reason for this, and the reason why porn is keeping you weak, is because when you watch porn, what you're doing is you cuck yourself. Now, you know how you look in hotels, and for some reason there's always a fucking cuck chair in the corner. Now, I want you to imagine this, right? Next time you're watching porn, next time you get horny and you go on social media, then you go on the hub. When you're watching that video of that guy absolutely ramming that girl, I want you to imagine that there's no screen and now you're in the cuck chair in the hotel, because that's what you're doing. You see, psychologically, your brain doesn't really know the difference between something you view on a screen and something you view in person. Now, when you watch porn repeatedly over and over and over and over for, let's say, a decade like I did, you run into some pretty serious problems. Because your brain is so used to being cucked by someone with a bigger cock than you, what happens is when it comes to actually having sex, your ability to be able to be a good sexual partner, your ability to be able to maintain an erection or even have sex for that matter is going to be completely diminished, because psychologically what happens is your brain is looking for the stimulation that comes from porn. And this is because of something called dopamine. Now, when you watch porn, your brain releases a lot more dopamine than you would with sex. And the reason for this is because porn is made to be hyper stimulating. We've got all the crazy dimensions, we've got all the crazy angles, we've got remember the actresses, yeah? We've got the actresses making all this crazy noise. So when it comes to actually engaging with a girl, it's a lot less stimulating. And because of this, your arousal process and your limbic system, which is a part in your brain which, fosters relationships and growth and attachment, is going to be fucked, because your brain has been wired to associate pleasure and stimulation and arousal with what you see on porn. And this is where you see the problem. It's nothing like what it is in person. And this is something I've personally dealt with myself. Every single time that I've tried to engage with someone, for most of the time it's my partners, right? I've had a lot of issues. Even now to this day, obviously I'm not practicing sex because of my love for Jesus Christ. But when I was trying to have sex, I ran into a lot of issues. Now, this is terrible. It's going to make it harder for you to be able to engage in intimacy. And it's just going to make you hate yourself more. And as a guy, if you hate yourself, it's going to lower your self-confidence, and that's just going to bleed into every single area in your life. So my biggest piece of advice is just quit porn. Unfollow all the accounts of like Instagram thoughts, delete Reddit, delete Twitter, anything that is somewhat sexual, remove it from your immediate environment. Because when you remove anything sexually provocative from your immediate environment, what's going to happen is you're just going to have less urges. And if you have less urges, you are less likely to go on the hub, and you're going to be cucking yourself a little bit less, which is good. Next up, we've got lack of accountability. As a man, you should pretty quickly learn, when you get to the point where you're out of school and you get into the real world, you quickly learn that the world does not give a shit about you. It doesn't care about you, and it's more than content to completely leave you behind in your current state of being. As you get older, you learn that your parents aren't going to be able to do everything for you, and for the most part, it's kind of you against the world. It's up to you to build yourself, to become a better version of yourself, and this is where accountability comes into it. Accountability is a weird one because you really need to be able to get better at looking at your own flaws. The opposite of accountability would be a victim mindset. So I'm going to paint a picture of a person that you probably know. They're an individual whose life is really shit. They're broke all the time, they're in debt, they're struggling, they've got addictions, they can never seem to hold down a job, hold down a relationship. Their life is just complete, utter shambles. And no matter what, this person always has a reason or a justification for why their life is the way it is. This is a victim mindset which stems from a lack of accountability. You see, the reason why these unfortunate souls find themselves in this situation is because they lack the ability to be able to reflect and look upon themselves. And as a man, this is probably one of the most dangerous pitfalls that you can fall into, because if you get to the point where you remove accountability from yourself and say, oh, this situation, this isn't caused by me, this is caused by luck or God or misfortune or someone else has just got it better off, you end up fucking yourself over massively. Because when you look to put the blame onto something else, you're removing agency from yourself. And when you remove agency from yourself, you don't allow yourself to be able to make changes in your life, because you can only act within what you believe. If you believe you're not capable of influencing your life and you believe everything's up to luck, well then yeah, of course you're never going to be able to change anything, because you're only going to be able to act within that confines. So the point that I'm making is, you need to start taking accountability for everything. If you're broke, it's your fault. If you struggle with women, it's your fault. If you're fat, it's your fault. If you're ugly, sometimes you can't change it, but you can definitely look max. So take accountability. If you want to improve a certain area in your life, let's say your fitness, don't blame other external circumstances. Don't blame your genetics. Don't blame your parents. Blame yourself, because ultimately, the world does not care. Let me tell you about something called a zero-sum game. What a zero-sum game effectively is you have a load of competitors and the winner, it's kind of like winner takes all. If someone wins, it means that someone else is guaranteed to lose. Now, the world that we live in is actually a zero-sum game. Typically, for example, we can look at the dating market, we can look at business markets, right? More often than not, the winner is going to take all. Meaning, if someone wins, they're going to get more of the clients, they're going to get more of the women, they're going to get more of the benefits, meaning someone has to lose. If you want to find yourself on the winning side of things, you need to take accountability and understand that you are losing because someone else is winning. And therefore, if you want to win, you need to be better than someone else so that they lose. The sooner you start looking at yourself and you start questioning, maybe my life is shit because of me, only at that point does it actually make your life better and you stop being weak. Next up on the agenda, we have a bad social circle. Now, you've probably heard the term, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, and this is completely true. If all you do is hang out with a bunch of people who smoke weed, don't do anything all day, sit around tossing off, you're gonna be the other person in that group sitting around doing nothing, tossing off. Whereas if you're around a bunch of people who are constantly holding each other to accountability, they're pushing each other, they're encouraging each other, they're moving each other forward, you are going to be more likely to take on that kind of behaviour. Think of an environment you've been around where perhaps you've been around toxic people, negative people, people who complain a lot, and you find yourself complaining more often, you find yourself in a more pessimistic state of mind. But as soon as you get away from those kind of people, you're back to your normal self. Or perhaps think of another scenario where you're around more optimistic people, people who are more energetic, that puts you in a good mood. As human beings, we are social. This is just the psychology of social influence. In a primal and a biological sense, we have always been tribal animals, and very much so we pick up the energy and the frequencies from the people that we're around. We are energetic and frequency beings, meaning the energy that you can give out affects the people around you, and vice versa. The people you surround yourself with are going to impact your vibrational frequency. And I know this sounds like a bit of woo-wah, trust me, I know it does, but it's true. And you can experience it yourself, and you have experienced it. When you're around people who are negative, you feel more negative as a result of that. It's a vibration, it's a frequency. So what you need to do is align yourself with people who are on a higher vibrational frequency. Now, you need to be discerning with this because you have these people who talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. You need to be ruthless, because if you stick around people just for the sake of comfort, you're not actually allowing yourself to grow. And this is something that so many guys fall into. You want to stay around your friends who they don't want to change, but you want to change, you want to grow, you want to become better, and you want to flourish. But you don't want to be lonely, because you know if you stopped hanging out with them, you haven't got anyone else to hang out with. So as a result, you keep hanging out with them. But then what's happening is the term crabs in a bucket. There's a bunch of crabs in a bucket. One of them tries to come out. The other crabs pull them down. This is what happens when you hang around a bad social circle. It doesn't mean the people around you are necessarily bad, but what it means is they are not in alignment. Okay? Alignment is one of the most important things for you to be able to recognize and comprehend. Alignment, all it basically is matching things up with what you want them to be. So if you, for example, want to get in better shape, you need to align your life and your environment so that it's congruent with the vision that you want. So obviously that would be going to the gym, sleeping properly, eating enough protein, eating nutritionally, eating consistently, training to failure. Alignment is just basically crafting your life so that it meets what you want it to be. And more often than not, you'll find that the people that you surround yourself with and your friends are probably not in alignment with who you want to be. So you need to do what I did in the past, and it's just stop hanging out with people who aren't in alignment with you. When I was 16, 17, I used to hang out with a lot of people who did a lot of drugs, just because I did drugs at the time. I stopped doing drugs and I realised, look, to be honest, these people aren't really my friends. We were friends because we were doing drugs, not because we were actually friends. Now, this is something you need to look at for yourself. If perhaps you want to improve yourself, you want to start going to the gym, but your mates are still sitting around smoking weed, watching porn, and you're not really about that anymore, then perhaps you need to question whether or not they're worth hanging out with. I'll leave this up to you because I know it's a hard step, but truthfully, if you want to live in alignment and you want to better yourself and improve your state of being, improve your social circle. Next up, we've got lack of mission. Now, as a man, you have a natural tendency to want to grow and to want to build things. It's biologically coded into you to have a desire to create and expand and improve. It's a natural mechanism, and this is why you are so drawn to video games, because video games, they quieten down this natural goal-striving mechanism within you. They allow you to make progress very quickly. You can see visible progress, and it makes you feel better because you can see the amount of progress that you've made in a linear fashion. Now, what I suggest is the reason why so many men are weak is because they don't have an actual mission in their life. There's not really something that they are working towards. So I want you to think about the times when you've been really grinding at a video game. Maybe you're playing ranked or something, right? And you're trying to get up from one rank to another. I don't know, you're trying to get to from platinum to diamond, let's say, right? You're very focused and you're very happy. You're not overly joyed and having fun, but the task is very enjoyable, even though it's stressful. And what I'm trying to suggest is you need this in your life. In essence, what you need to do is find a way to serve the world. And this is what it's all about. This is why you need to follow Jesus, because Jesus very much talks about denying yourself, serving others. This is why it's important to look at the life of Jesus Christ, because very much so he did that. And as a real man who lived and existed, he died for all of us, and he served all of us, and he had his mission. And in the same way, if you want to improve your life and you want to be stronger, it's very important you have a mission. What that might be is up to you to figure out. But the way you can get to the point where you can start figuring it out is by cutting off as many things as possible. So you distract yourself with social media, video games, the news, so many different outlets. Your brain doesn't have the opportunity to be quiet. When was the last time you really sat there alone with your thoughts? It was a while ago, right? And this is why you struggle with knowing what to do with your life, because every single time you're uncomfortable, every single time you face boredom, what you do is you just quieten your brain by consuming media. If you want to figure out your mission and you want to figure out your purpose in life, you need to spend more time not being stimulated, because what's going to happen is it will give your brain the space and the time to be able to work through a lot of mental backlog. Like I'm telling you, as soon as you start spending time sitting there doing nothing, you'll realize you have a lot of mental backlog that's in your that you've got to work through, and you're sitting there. There'll be so many random thoughts, but then what will happen is you'll experience more clarity, and from that clarity, you will experience mission and direction. Next up, we have a lack of respect for your body. Now, I'm going to put this plain and simple. If you are someone who smokes, drinks, does drugs, doesn't eat very well, doesn't eat at all, doesn't exercise, doesn't sleep properly, you are not respecting your body. Your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit, and off that, we need to respect it. It's a given gift to you. You don't own your body. It's on rent. And in order for you to get the most out of it as a vessel, you need to start respecting it and fueling it properly. What does this look like? It means sleeping properly. Sleep is one of the most important things that you're probably not getting enough of. It's not just something that, it's kind of like a nuisance and it gets in the way. It allows your body to recover and to repair itself. It's really, really cool. If you're not sleeping properly, your body isn't going to be functioning properly. Next, we have exercise. Your body is designed to be capable of moving weight, running. When you don't move your body, you lose it. Move it or lose it. And next, we've got fueling it properly. You need to, instead of drinking all the Monsters, eating the bags of crisps, having the frozen pizzas, instead, give it real food. Let me explain to you how food works. Food is taken in from your body, and what your body does is it breaks down the food into its component parts. What food contains is different ingredients. It contains different minerals and vitamins and macronutrients, right? And what your body does is it metabolizes it. And what metabolism is basically where it breaks it down, it takes all the little parts of it, and then it sanctions it off to different parts of your body. When you eat, for example, nutritious food contains minerals and vitamins, which basically you kind of need to view it as like little mini buffs. You know how like in a video game, you'll drink a potion, you get a 10% speed increase? Kind of think of it like that. There's certain things which will help to immune function, that will help your hormones be produced at a better rate, that will help your blood flow, that will help your connective tissue, your muscular tissue, that will help with brain function. Basically, when you eat good food, it allows your body to work better. On the contrary, if you eat highly processed food, not only are you not going to be getting any nutritional benefits, but you're also going to be taking in things that are damaging your body, things that are going to cause more neuroticism, that's going to make you more neurodivergent, things that's going to cause you attention deficit, memory loss, fatigue, depression, anxiety. When you eat bad food, your body doesn't want it, so then it starts freaking out, and that's why it's so hard for you to feel normal. And what this is going to do, it's going to keep you weak. So by fueling your body properly, by not engaging in drugs and doing dumb shit and putting bad stuff in your body, and instead fueling it with the correct foods, subscribe to our channel, I want to teach you more on that, you can then strengthen your body and then make it better. And the last one, we have chasing women. Now, if there is any activity or thing that you can do that is the biggest waste of time, it's probably chasing women. You see, God designed us to be married to a singular woman, to, come together. When you marry, when you have sex with a girl or a woman, you become one flesh. The whole point is to get married and have one wife, right? And when you chase women, what you do is you put them on a pedestal and you make yourself this kind of desperate man, and you start lowering your standards just so you can kind of get off and you can have sex. You'll end up spending more money, you'll end up being more distracted, and you'll end up losing yourself along the way. Because what happens when you chase women is you try and mold yourself to them. Or let's say if you're attractive, you're just wasting your time, or you're wasting time for women. If you want to become stronger, become better and more focused in your life, don't chase women, but chase self-improvement. Because when you chase self-improvement, it's really fascinating how this works. It's kind of like the laws of opposites, or it's called inversion, right? You chase the thing, you get what you want by chasing something else. So, perfect example, by chasing self-improvement, you actually get women come to you. Versus when you chase women, women run away from you because they don't like that needy energy. So when you instead focus all the energy that you would put on women, so obviously you're messaging girls in the DMs, you're desperate and you get all stressed out because she's not replying to you within 15 minutes, or maybe she's messaging another guy, oh, does she like me? All that mental energy gets shifted onto what am I actually doing with my life? And when you start to really sit down and you mull over them deep questions, you get the opportunity to change. And when you change, you start to become the better version of yourself. And when you start to become the better version of yourself, what you're going to notice is that women will notice you more. And it's one of the most awesome experiences because you go from this kind of desperate sort of guy where, let's say you're in the gym, right, and you're constantly looking at women. It's like, oh my God, is she noticing me? You're looking at them trying to see whether or not they're paying attention to you. And it's so desperate and it takes so much away from you. And you turn yourself into this guy who's kind of chill, you're cool, you're just focusing on what you're doing. And then because of that, women naturally become interested in you because they're like, they look at you and they're like, what's that guy all about? Like all these other guys, they're always checking me out. But that guy, he's just kind of focused, he's doing his own thing. That makes you more attractive. So if you want women, don't chase them. Chase yourself, chase improvement, and then before you know it, you will attract them. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'm going to keep posting this kind of low effort stuff because it's just kind of chill. And if you watch it, cool. If not, it'll probably get about 7 views. If you're still watching at this point, like, comment, and subscribe for the algorithm, and I'll catch you in the next one.